I spent over $630,000 with Google Ads so far in 2024, and I ended up figuring out a completely new way to run Performance Max campaigns. You see, most e-commerce brands strategize a Performance Max campaign around only two different things. Number one, either their products, or number two, their assets. But this often ends up creating a Performance Max campaign strategy, which is often mediocre at best, and it ends up trying to do 10 different things at once, which means it's not good at anything. And the way a Performance Max campaign was originally designed was, it was designed to maximize the performance which your brand already has, which means it needs consistent data to back it up to continue maximizing your performance and to continue getting your e-commerce brand results. Because if your entire brand is only relying on one or a few Performance Max campaigns, well, that's a very risky situation to be in, because now there's nothing to actually provide that PMax consistent data flow besides itself. But number two, this generic approach actually makes it more difficult for your brand to become good at one thing, whether it's the shopping approach only or whether it's the asset approach only. To implement this strategy, you still need to be implementing some of the older strategies like the TPS method, because without the TPS method, this strategy is not really going to be efficient. And the way the TPS method works is fairly simple. You need to have a set distribution of budget for campaigns which are testing, for campaigns which are supposed to be getting you profitable results, and then eventually for campaigns which are actually in the scaling phase with products that are doing really well. Once you have this generic approach ready and it's getting you consistent results, that's when this new strategy comes into play. Now, this strategy is something I like to call the no feed approach strategy. No feed, no assets, no nothing. It's literally just a generic Performance Max campaign running without a feed connected to it. And the way this strategy works, it's fairly simple. If we now go on over to the Google Ads dashboard into the campaigns overview section, we can see that when we choose Performance Max right over here, we get the ability to actually add a Merchant Center account to the Performance Max campaign. With this strategy now in mind, you want to actually uncheck this box completely. And what this does is, now instead of your Performance Max campaigns going after products as well as assets, if you do end up adding those in, this PMax campaign has 0 products in there, which essentially means it's only going to be a display discovery YouTube campaign. And this is where the beauty of this approach starts. Now, the way it works is fairly simple. The TPS strategy, which you already have implemented in the background, that's responsible for showcasing your products. That's responsible for going after the feed only. That's kind of the generic approach we take. We don't really like to go after display traffic when we're doing a Performance Max campaign for products as well, because again, we want that campaign to be a master of one thing rather than be a jack of all trades. But now with this second strategy, with this second no feed approach, this is the approach which will feed that original TPS approach lots of consistent data. And this is exactly the strategy we have begun to implement across a lot of the brands we're handling under my Google Ads agency, Your Marketing, which, by the way, if you're doing $40,000 or more per month in revenue, you need just a little bit of extra help scaling your brand to the next level, go onto my website at yourmarketing.com and schedule a free call with me to see how we can essentially work together and make that happen. But again, to recap, your first approach should be with the TPS strategy. You still want to have multiple different shopping or Performance Max campaigns that are designed to test products, make them profitable, and then eventually scale. But to keep that entire funnel going with consistent results, with consistent profits and revenue, you need to now have this second strategy in the back end that comes into play later on, which now only focuses on the asset side of things. So no feed at all, just designed to go after the assets, because again, the main goal is not to get a lot of revenue or a lot of profitability from this no feed campaign. It's rather to make the campaign and the whole ecosystem so focused on getting results for the products that now the original campaigns and the original TPS strategy continues to use the data this campaign is getting on the account level to become smarter, to get more results and then to find the ideal audience at a much faster pace without having any fluctuations during the process or without just the results going to trash overnight. But this is the long-term scale if you want your Performance Max campaign approach and strategy to be working on a long-term basis for months and even potentially years, rather than just trying new things consistently every few days or every few weeks. But again, go onto my website at yourmarketing.com and schedule a free call with me if you're doing 40,000 or more per month in revenue and you want to scale to the next level with your e-commerce brand. But also check out this video right here on my newest product testing strategy, which we have been implementing along with this approach right here with Performance Max campaigns to scale brands aggressively.